We're here on a beautiful fall, autumn day, and we're comparing two cars. The first one is an Audi A7. Guess what year? 2019. And we're comparing it not to another 2018 A7, because that would be no fun. We're going to compare it to a 2018 Audi S7, because at this point in time, the prices are very close. So how does a 2019 A7 compare against a 2018 S7? Let's find out. All right, guys, so 2019 Audi A7, what does it look like on the outside? When I first saw it, I looked at these things and I thought, police interceptor, radar jammers, all kinds of fun stuff. And actually looking up close to it, it does. But what are they? They are radar and laser. Awesome, awesome stuff. Along with the headlights, check out these headlights. All right, guys, so on the 2019 to 2018 on the front, what do we see? I see a huge, huge grille. So what they've done is they've extended the single frame grille to basically cover about 80% of the front of the car. Versus the older model, it's a bit smaller, still beautiful design. It rounds down a bit. The new one seems to be just wider, more of a mouthy grille. So what do you guys think about the headlights? Do you like the 2019 headlights better or the 2018 headlights better? It's funny, when you look at a 2019, the car just looks wider and bigger than the 2018 S7. So thinking the S7 is more performance oriented, shouldn't this S7 be wider, bigger mouth grille than the 19? What do you think? On the side of the car, this is where you can see the difference, the huge S7 brakes versus on the 19, the brakes aren't as big. It seems like there's only one single shoulder line on the 18 versus on the 19. There's sort of there's a sort of a shoulder line and dynamic line. What a shoulder line normally does goes from the back taillight all the way to the front, but this starts to fade out and then it comes back on again right here, right to the headlight. So there's no real shoulder line that I see because it sort of funnels away in the middle there. As far as wheels go, this has the S-Line package, and the S-Line package on this guy, these wheels are beautiful. These are 21s versus on the S7 here, they're only 20s. Both of these cars have air suspension, so you can raise and lower them as you wish. One thing I have noticed though, on the front top of these cars, this has a full glass sunroof now, versus the S7 has a conventional sunroof. So this is where it gets interesting. Not the outside, the inside. So let's jump on it and take a look. All right, so as I unlock the car and I get in and I pull the handle, this does not have a cable. It's actually electric. So as soon as I pull it, touch it, it automatically unlocks. As soon as I get in the car, it's calling me Jane Doe, and I start it. Welcome to my humble abode. Look at this dash. Google Maps, all integrated on what was the virtual cockpit. So it's the same thing. You can adjust the view. You can adjust the views on the car, but that is awesome. All right, guys, so we're gonna spend some time on the center console here because that's where most of the action happens. It's basically set up like a cell phone, so you can just simply hit the buttons. The way I've set it here is actually you have to click it. There's 3 different modes you can set it in. You can just lightly put your finger over it and it'll work, or you can push down hard, which is the way I like to have it. So I push down on it and it brings me my home screen. I can customize this home screen by holding something down. So if I hold this button down, I can move things around to set it the way I'd like it. So for me, in my specific case, I would use navigation first. So I will hold this navigation button down and I would move it over here and let go. And then say the next thing I want to do is weather, that's perfect. Radio, media, or say I'd like to move phone, I move phone up there and it'll flip things around for me. So that I find really, really good because if when I go to my home screen now, I've set up the way I want. So there's lots and lots of features in here. So we'll go through things one at a time. Let's start off with navigation. I push the navigation button down and I get basically what I see in my virtual cockpit. I get a full Google map, and this is part of Audi's 3D. So what it does, it pulls all this data from the cloud and it'll take basically Google Maps. So it's gonna show you where you are overhead and you can use your finger and kind of move things around. You can change the view of this thing. But this is awesome. Like, we're glad in Canada we finally have this. Before we didn't have this, so now I can kind of go overhead. I'd like to see all these houses, so I can kind of zoom in, zoom out with my finger. So the way of range of motion is exactly how you'd use your cell phone, so it's pretty intuitive. The golf course is there. I kind of move things around with my hands. So let's use a feature, for example. Let's say I want to find parking. So what I do is I just hit the search button, and this is where to, and I hit parking, and it'll give me all the parking in the area. So let's say I want to go to, I don't know, the first guy. So I hit the first guy, and it's going to show me where it is with respect to where I am. It shows me if it's open, it shows me the address, it also shows me the temperature, but I can hit the details button, and it'll give me more details like this. It'll show me the capacity of the parking lot. It would show me the prices. So in this specific case, it's $4 an hour. It'll show me when it's open, the hours it's open, and what type of garage it is and what kind of payments they accept. Now this is awesome, especially in cities that you don't know, you're not familiar with, you know, the parking. You can find sort of a parking that's open to your convenience, and you can just hit the start button, and then it's going to take you to the parking. So that's pretty standard in terms of how it gets you there, but just the display and the layout and the information it gives you is awesome. And as I scroll along, it shows you all the streets, and I really like that. I thought that was pretty cool. So if I want to go back to it here, and I want to simply cancel it, I can just hit that button, and I'll cancel right away. All right, so now we want to, let's see if we can get the touchpad here. So when I hit the touchpad, I get this beautiful touchpad, and I'm going to write something as fast as I can possibly write, and I'm going to pick a crazy city. Let's try putting in, I don't know, let's pick a city. Where are you from? Give me your cities you want to put in. So let's go the first one, Toronto. As fast as I can possibly write Toronto. Got to stretch these hands out. All right, Toronto, let's go. T-O-R-O-N-T-O, and I get Toronto. How fast is that?
T-O.
So let's try different accents. This is going to be brutal. Let's try different accents. So I'm going to hit the voice button here, and I'm going to say, I am hungry.
I am searching for restaurant nearby.
All right.
You can now choose a line number or provide additional search terms.
Okay. I'm hungry.
I am searching for restaurant nearby.
Pretty good.
Please
Pretty
choose
good.
a line.
Let's try something else. Me hungry.
I am searching for hungry nearby. You can now choose a line number or provide.
All right, so we got that actually works pretty well. So let's check some other further details in this thing. So navigation's pretty straightforward. You hit navigation, you just type in where you want on this keypad, you can say it, you can use your hand, and you can basically find all kinds of stuff. You can use Google, which Google destination, so you can, it's very Google oriented, which is awesome now. And it's basically like right up to date in the tech space and where we need to go. Cool stuff where it joins the cloud is weather. So if I hit the weather, please wait, and I'll get the weather laid out, and I get today's weather, and then a 7-day. That is awesome. No rain. 24% on Monday. I don't know how they got 20. Oh, 1%. Oh, exciting. 1% Saturday. Details. You can have different cities. London, Dallas. This is really customizable, guys. Different cities, you can add cities. There's your music. But back to the main screen here. I'm gonna go to news. When I hit news, the news that I pick, so what I have to do is I have to go to my my Audi Go app, and what I can do is I can pick where I wanna get my RSS feeds from. So in this specific case, I just put the first couple that I found, and I can get all my sports. So I can read all my sports here. Let's go, he's threatening to leave UFC. So I can get all my news here. And this will only work when I'm stopped. But when I'm driving, I can hit that button and it'll read it back to me.
Nurmagomedov threatens to leave UFC if teammate fired unbeaten Khabib. Nurmagomedov threatened to leave the UFC on Thursday if the MMA promoters fire teammate Zubir Tukhugov for striking Conor McGregor in a post-fight mail.
I've realized she only comes in one voice. You can't get a guy to say it to you, and that's the only voice you can get. But you can hear her pretty well, and it's pretty cool when you're just driving and you can listen to the news. I found that pretty awesome, and it's right up to date. So it's not that it's so top news right now. 20 minutes ago, 24 minutes ago, so it's right up to date. I mean, this is awesome to have. So you can get your text messages once you have your phone connected to it. In this specific case, I don't have my phone connected to it. But basically, these are your main buttons you can press, and then you can customize how you'd like it to go, as I showed you earlier. Other cool features on this specific area here is the camera. So when I put the car in reverse, I get a full front, I get a front corner view camera, I get a full front camera, I get a 360 along with the overhead here. I get a rear camera. I find that the 360 in this model is a little bit higher than the old generation. This is exactly the same as the old model. Corner view camera, exactly the same as the old model. But now you have two extra features. Basically at the wheel, so you can see the curb lines on each side. Front tires and rear tires. So you can see exactly where the curb is, which I find that awesome. But the best part about this rear camera here, or 360 camera, is this. You've got a virtual augmented reality car here, and you can see exactly where I'm parked. So in this specific case, I'm obviously not parked straight, but I will park straight and demonstrate how it's gonna look. So I'm gonna move forward. This works up to about 10 kilometers an hour. So I'm gonna pull forward and look how frickin' video game-ish that looks. Awesome. You can see the overhead here. You can see I'm going back, and obviously my 3D is gone when I go in reverse. But I'm gonna press my 3D button now, and look at that. That is awesome. It even shows my brake lights. When I press my brakes, let go of the brakes, press the brakes, let go of the brakes, press the brakes. How sweet is that? Man, this car is awesome. All right, so that was for the cameras. Now when I move down here, this is for all the HVAC controls and all the quick controls I just want to hit. So again, some of this is customizable. I can move this out of the way and I can just have my HVAC, and I can move my hand up and down and it'll adjust my temperature just by moving my finger up or down, and it'll show me on my main screen here when I do that. Right now it's synced. So let's say I don't want it to sync and I want to separate the controls. As I move this up and down, they're both going to move, but I want to not sync it, and I simply just move my finger out. Now they're separated. I can adjust this the way I'd like, and this the way I'd like. And if I want to sync them back together, I just simply go like this, and they're synced. Sync off. Sync on. When I hit that button, that activates my lane assist. When I hit that button, it just drops down, and then I have my radio stations that I can have preset on this one. Just in case you don't lift your finger from here to here, I can just do this here. So I can hit the radio button, and I can get my radio stations. Or I can be lazy and not lift my finger from here to here, because this is a lot less work than this. Oh, I want to go to BPM. What do? Do I press this button? No, I'll just press this button. That's my home button, so my garage door openers are preset. That's for my rear spoiler. That's my heads-up display, so I can have my heads-up display on or off, and that's shut the whole system down. My HVAC controls here. If I hold this button down now, I'll get my massage or my seat seating. Those are my different massage seats: wave, pulse, stretch, relaxation, shoulder activation, and revitalization. So a couple more modes than the older generation. And in terms of feeling, they feel very, very similar to the old one, so I wouldn't say that these seats are any different. They have a bit more contouring, but in terms of massage feel, they are the same as the old generation, so you don't lose that. But what I am seeing is the tech is significantly better. There's just no question between this tech on this car and the older car. So in terms of price point, they are very similar. Obviously, the current generation, or 2018 S7, offers a lot of performance. There's tons of YouTube videos on performance. But the tech right now, if tech is what you're after, there's nothing out there that competes to this tech, especially when you're comparing the old generation and the newer generation. In terms of visuals, how I look outside the car, it feels very similar. This hood seems to be a little bit higher than the old generation. The back window looks the same. The blind spots are very few, but they're pretty much the same seating configuration as I'm sitting. This headliner is pretty much exactly the same. There's no difference there. But visually, there's no analog components in this car at all. It's all digital. The digital dash on the front here, the center screen, my HVAC controls, it is all digital. And it's just easy to use. It's nice and big. The tech on this car is awesome. And that's one of the main features that one would buy a new version over the old version. Something I've noticed also that's a complete design change is these air vents. These air vents are sort of pushed back And there's this big placement, like it's a bookshelf or some sort over here. I'm not sure why there's so much gap, but that's, I guess, the design cues of the new car. Versus the old one is more flat, which we'll see in a second. But everything else is the same. All your levers here are the same. Everything's in the same position. There's no difference. This multifunction steering wheel is the same place. It's very similar to the same size, and the S7's a hair thicker, but it feels the same. It's very Audi. There's nothing really changed in that, but this display is all brand new, and it feels brand new. It's still got some Audi cues to it, but it's still, wow, just there's a lot of tech. So anybody, if you're above 70 and you're not a techie person at all, this is going to be not the easiest to get along with, but obviously old buttons of putting the fan from 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 is going to be a lot easier than pressing buttons, but it's still pretty intuitive. So in terms of the back seat of this car compared to the older generation, they feel identical. I don't feel a difference in the back. Headroom seems the same. The only thing I can see on the back of this car, besides some of the aluminum pieces they've put here, is the 4-zone climate control. It is a lot more digital, and it's a lot more I just use my finger up and down and adjust the temperature. And I've got 2 USB ports, which I didn't have before. So that's the only difference I see in the back here. Otherwise, the cars are pretty much the same. The seats fold down like they normally do. Center console, that's kind of all the same. The cup holders look a little bit different, but essentially it's the same thing in the back. And again, same space. And that's it. Yeah. All right, guys. So here we are. The year is 2007, and we're jumping in a 2018 Audi S7 because that's how it feels right now compared to that 2019. The tech is dated compared to that thing. But inside, it doesn't feel that much more. When I'm sitting, it feels the same. I don't feel like I'm in a different car besides what my eyes tell me. So if I closed my eyes and I felt things, I would probably feel like I'm in the exact same car, with the exception of this. I would say with my eyes closed, I would buy this car over the car I just sat in. All right, so now that my eyes are open, what do I think? Well, obviously, we've hammered this 100 times, but the tech is a lot better than that car, but this still is a lot of car. The steering wheel feels strong, solid, round, feels good. Still very German, solid feel. That has not changed. And all the features of a car that one would normally use is in this car. So I'd still have my maps right in the center. That is unchanged. If I want to have my maps on the center console here, I simply press this button. This comes out, and I get my maps. So let's just get out of there, press my maps, and bam. So that's all the same. It's obviously not as sexy, but it's very functional. So it'll tell you exactly what you need to see, like we're most used to. That is just in a different class, and we're at a different stage in technology that gives you that. But everything here is very easy. The seamless buttons. The steering is very similar. It just offers more in that vehicle. So I'm kind of confused on really what I would pick. So I think if one is on tech and likes the buttons, wants to get the news, you sit in your car and you actually interact with your car more because you're more in bumper to bumper traffic, or you just in your car, more people in your car, I would probably lean to that car because it's a lot more tech. But if I'm simply just buying a car to have fun, drives well, fast, more mechanical, because the mechanical feel is kind of going away from products nowadays. I feel like cars are getting more fake. But this car is not fake. This car is, you can feel it, you can hear it, you can touch it, a lot of carbon everywhere, so there's a lot more sportiness here. So I think that if I was just going to get a car to drive more per se, I would obviously buy this car over that car, regardless of tech. If tech is not a huge factor, I mean, you can still stream music from your phone, you can still get CarPlay. All those things are still in this car, but not as great, obviously, as that. But does that matter to you? So I guess the question being is that, would you buy a car based on the drive and the extra horsepower, or would you buy a car based on tech? So these are all, the crazy part to me is that now with all that tech, there's a lot of Audi in that, but it's also a lot of third-party apps, the stop and go, the keep in your lane, all those things, and Apple CarPlay. Those are all like the extended version in that car. All those features are basically features that are added on. They're not really manufacturer pushed per se, because everybody would offer that. So if you strip all those things down, what do you need that car for? So you can basically get stop and go in a car that's $50,000 cheaper than either of these cars. But what do you need the car for? So that's basically the first question you got to ask yourself. And after that point, what would you buy? That one or this one? Hard to say, but I'm a car guy. I like to drive fast and I like sound. So for me, I can get my news from my phone. So I would buy this car. So as much hype as I gave that car, I'd still buy this car. What would you buy?